Captain Danny Walsh was drinking his morning coffee when the universe changed forever. He sat in the command chair of the UHS Defender, a small patrol ship that watched the edge of human space. For 3 months, nothing exciting had happened. Pirates avoided this sector, and trade ships followed their usual routes. The coffee was still hot when his communications officer looked up with wide eyes. "Captain, we're getting a transmission. It's coming from outside the system." Down his cup, put it through. The main screen flickered to life. A massive ship appeared, larger than anything Danny had ever seen. It was black as space itself, with strange purple lights running along its hull. The ship looked like it could swallow his patrol vessel whole. "This is the Velkari Empire, speaking to the creatures who call themselves humans." And mechanical speaking perfect English? "We have watched your species for many months. We know your language, your ships, and your worlds." Danny felt his blood turn cold. No one had ever mentioned aliens called the Velkari. The ship on his screen was clearly not human, and it was bigger than their largest battleships. "7 of your days to surrender completely," the voice continued. "All human ships must power down their weapons. All human worlds must submit to Velkari rule. All human military forces must disband immediately." The communications officer, a young woman named Kelly Price, looked terrified. Danny could hear his crew moving around the bridge, but no one spoke. "We are the Velkari Empire. We have ruled this galaxy for over 1,000 years. We have conquered 200 species. Every civilization we have met has either surrendered or been destroyed. There is no third option." Danny stood up slowly. His hands were shaking, but he tried not to show it. "This is Captain Danny Walsh of the United Human Navy. Who am I speaking to?" "You may call me Commander Zexai." "We are not here to negotiate, human. We are here to inform you of reality. Your species is primitive. Your technology is weak. Your military is laughable compared to ours." The alien ship moved closer to Danny's patrol vessel. Danny could see weapon ports opening along its hull. Each weapon looked bigger than his entire ship. "To prove our power, we will now destroy one of your structures." Danny watched in horror as a beam of purple energy shot from the alien ship. In the distance, a mining station that had operated for 15 years simply vanished. One moment it was there, the next it was gone. Not destroyed, not broken apart, just gone. "That station held 50 workers," Kelly whispered. "Your people had already evacuated it," Commander Zexis said, somehow hearing her. "We are not wasteful. We only kill when necessary, but make no mistake, human. We can destroy anything you have built." Danny found his voice. "What do you want from us?" "We want nothing from you. We are taking what belongs to us. This region of space is ours by right of conquest. Your species appeared here without permission. You will now leave or serve us." "This is our home," Danny said. "We've lived here for over 200 years. 200 years is nothing. We've held this galaxy for 1,000 years. Before us, the Zelthani held it for 800 years. For them, others. Your species is an infant compared to us." Danny looked around his bridge. His crew was listening to every word. He knew they were all thinking the same thing. Humanity had just discovered they were not alone in the universe, and the aliens were giving them a week to surrender everything they had ever built. "You have 7 days," Commander Zexai repeated. "Send word to all your worlds. Tell your leaders what? We have told you. We return. We expect to find your ships powered down and your planets ready for occupation." "And if we refuse?" Danny asked. The alien ship fired again. This time, they destroyed an abandoned cargo hauler that had been drifting nearby. The ship exploded in a ball of fire that lit up the darkness of space. That is what happens to those who refuse. We have done this many times before, human. The pattern is always the same. First, the young species fights back. They believe their courage will overcome our technology. Then they realize how outmatched they are. Finally, they surrender and beg for mercy. Danny felt anger rising in his chest. Maybe we're different. No species is different, human. You all believe you are special until you face reality. Some surrender quickly and save lives. Others fight and watch their worlds burn. The choice is yours. The communication ended. The massive alien ship turned and disappeared into the darkness between stars, moving faster than anything Danny had ever seen. For several minutes, no one on the bridge spoke. Finally, Kelly broke the silence. "Captain, what do we do?" Danny looked at the empty space where the mining station had been. 50 good people had worked there just hours ago. Now, it was gone like it had never existed. "We report to command." He said, "Admiral Morrison needs to know about this immediately. Do you think they'll really destroy us if we don't surrender?" Asked his weapons officer, a man named Gary Phillips. Danny thought about the alien ship. Bigger than a city and armed with weapons that could erase buildings from existence. He thought about Commander Zex's cold voice, speaking about conquest like it was a simple business transaction. "I think they've done this before," Danny said. "Many times.
Oh.
And I think they expect us to surrender like everyone else." "Will we?" Kelly asked quietly. Danny looked at his crew. They were young, most of them fresh from the academy. They had joined the Navy to protect human shipping and explore new worlds. None of them had ever expected to face an alien empire that wanted to conquer everything they had ever known. "That's not our decision to make," Danny said. "But I know Admiral Morrison. I know our people. And I don't think we're the surrendering type." He sat back down in his command chair and reached for his coffee. It had gone cold during the conversation, but he drank it anyway. His hands were no longer shaking. "Kelly, send a priority message to Fleet Command. Tell them we've made first contact with a hostile alien species. Tell them humanity has 7 days to surrender or face invasion." "Yes, sir," Kelly said, her fingers flying over her console. Danny stared out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Valkyrie Empire controlled thousands of worlds. They'd conquered 200 species and ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years. In 1 week, they would return expecting humanity to bow down and accept slavery. Danny smiled grimly. They were going to be very surprised. Admiral Jake Morrison read the report 3 times before he believed it. He sat in his office on New Terra, the military headquarters for all human space. Outside his window, he could see ships coming and going from the orbital docks. Everything looked normal, but nothing would ever be normal again. "Sir, Captain Walsh is standing by for video conference," said his aide, Lieutenant Amy Ross. "Put him through," Morrison said. Danny Walsh appeared on the screen, still in his patrol ship uniform. He looked tired but determined. "Admiral, I've sent you all our sensor data from the encounter. The ship was massive, sir. It's bigger than anything we've ever built." Morrison nodded. "I've seen the readings, Captain. Tell me about the alien commander." "Cold, sir?" He spoke like he was reading from a shopping list. No emotion at all when he talked about conquering us. It's like it was just another day at work. "Did you get the impression they were bluffing?" Danny shook his head. "No, sir. When they destroyed that mining station, it was effortless. They didn't even slow down. In the way the commander talked about other species they've conquered. ... He wasn't bragging. He was just stating facts." Morrison leaned back in his chair. In his 40 years of military service, he had faced pirates, rebellions, and natural disasters. But he had never faced anything like this. "Thank you, Captain. Turn to patrol and keep your eyes open. If you see anything else, report immediately." After the call ended, Morrison walked to his window.
Oh.
Ships were still moving in and out of the docks, but everything had changed. In 6 days, alien warships would return, expecting humanity to surrender. The question was, what humanity would do about it? His door chimed. "Come in." General Nick Rodriguez entered, followed by Fleet Commander Amy Thompson. Both looked grim. "Jake, we need to talk," Rodriguez said. "The president is calling an emergency session. Half the cabinet wants to negotiate. The other half wants to evacuate the frontier colonies. What do you want to do?" Morrison asked. Amy Thompson stepped forward. She was the youngest fleet commander in human history, but she had earned her position through brilliance and courage. "I want to fight against a 1,000-year-old empire that has conquered 200 species," Rodriguez asked. Against anyone who tells us to surrender our freedom, Thompson replied. Admiral, we've been preparing for large-scale warfare without knowing it. Every pirate raid we've fought, every territorial dispute we've settled, every convoy we've escorted through dangerous space. We've been training for this. Morrison thought about his fleet. Humanity had spread across dozens of star systems in 2 centuries. They had built warships to protect their trade routes and colonies. But compared to an alien empire, their military seemed tiny. How many ships can we muster? He asked. Thompson consulted her tablet. Every available warship, including those recalled from deep patrol, maybe 800 combat vessels. Half of those are destroyers and frigates. The aliens showed Captain Walsh one ship that could probably destroy 50% of ours, Rodriguez pointed out. Maybe, Morrison said. But there's something the aliens don't know about us. What's that? Thompson asked. Morrison smiled grimly. We've never surrendered to anyone in our entire history. Not to kings, not to dictators, not to nature itself. Why would we start now? 3 hours later, Morrison stood before the emergency joint session of government and military leaders. The room was packed with admirals, generals, and civilian officials. Everyone looked worried. Ladies and gentlemen, Morrison began, we face a choice that will define humanity for generations. We can surrender and hope the aliens treat us well. We can evacuate and hope they let us find somewhere else to live. Or we can fight. Senator Linda Hayes stood up. Admiral, you're talking about fighting an empire that has ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years. That's not courage, that's suicide. Maybe, Morrison replied, but I'd rather die free than live as a slave. Easy words when you're not the one who has to explain to parents why their children are dead, Hayes shot back. Morrison nodded. You're right, Senator. And that's exactly why this decision can't be mine alone. But let me tell you what I've learned about the Velkari Empire. He activated the main screen, showing intelligence reports that had been gathered since Captain Walsh's encounter. They've conquered 200 species over 1,000 years. It's one species every 5 years. They're efficient, but they're not constantly at war. Most species surrender without fighting, because they're smart, someone called out. Or, because they've never faced humans, Morrison replied. Commander Steve Parker has been analyzing their ship movements. They sent one vessel to deliver their ultimatum. One ship to threaten an entire species that spans dozens of star systems. Commander Parker stood up. The alien ship was powerful, but it was alone. If they thought we were a serious threat, they would have sent a fleet. They expect us to surrender. You're gambling humanity's survival on the idea that they underestimate us? Senator Hayes asked. I'm gambling on something else, Morrison said. I'm gambling that when humans are pushed into a corner, we push back harder than anyone expects. He looked around the room. Chief Engineer Tony Garcia has been working on retrofitting civilian ships with military weapons. Dr. Susan Wright has accelerated research on experimental defensive systems. Intelligence Officer Kate Murphy has developed plans for gathering information about alien technology. Morrison paused. We're not helpless. We're not primitive. We're definitely not surrendering. The debate continued for hours. Some argued for immediate surrender to save lives. Others wanted to evacuate frontier colonies and try to negotiate. But slowly, a consensus emerged. Ambassador Lisa Carter, who had been quiet during most of the debate, finally spoke. I've spent my career trying to solve problems through diplomacy. But sometimes there are people you can't negotiate with. The aliens aren't interested in compromise. They want total surrender. She stood up. If we surrender now, we'll spend the rest of human history wondering what might have been. If we fight and lose, at least we'll know we tried. The vote was close, but clear. Humanity would not surrender. Morrison returned to his office as orders went out across human space. Every warship was recalled. Every military base was put on full alert. Civilian ships were converted for military use. Workers began producing weapons and armor around the clock. Amy Thompson appeared in his doorway. Admiral, the fleet is mobilizing. How long do we have? Morrison looked at the countdown timer on his desk. For days until they return. Will it be enough time? Morrison thought about Captain Danny Walsh facing an alien warship 10 times the size of his own vessel. The young captain hadn't surrendered or run away. He'd done his job and reported back to command. "It'll have to be," Morrison said, "because in 4 days the Velkari Empire is going to learn something new about humanity." "What's that, sir?" Morrison smiled. "That we don't surrender. We fight." The 7 days passed like a countdown to the end of the world. When the Velkari ships appeared at the edge of the Centauri system, they expected to find surrendered colonies and powerless human vessels. Instead, they found Captain Maria Lopez waiting for them with 12 human warships. Commander Zexai stood on the bridge of his command vessel, studying the sensor readings. The humans had not powered down their weapons. Their ships were arranged in what looked like a defensive formation. "Around the colony world, foolish creatures," he said to his tactical officer. "They choose to resist. Very well. Destroy them quickly so we can move on to the next system."
Ow.
Maria Lopez watched the alien fleet approach on her main screen. 25 ships, each one larger than her heavy cruiser UHS Retribution. Her hands were steady on the command chair, but her heart was racing. "Dodge, Captain. Incoming transmission from the alien flagship," reported her communications officer, Lieutenant Paul Martin. "Put them through." Commander Zexai's face appeared on the screen. He looked like a cross between a lizard and a bird, with silver skin and bright yellow eyes. "Human Commander, you have not surrendered as ordered. This is your final warning. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded." Maria stood up. "This is Captain Maria Lopez of the United Human Navy. We received your warning 7 days ago. Here's our answer." She nodded to her weapons officer. UHS Retribution fired every gun it had at the alien flagship. Beams of energy and streams of projectiles crossed the space between the fleets. "Commander." Zexai watched in surprise as human weapons struck his shields. The damage was minimal, but no species had fired on a Velkari ship in over 300 years. "Destroy them," he ordered coldly. The alien ships opened fire. Purple energy beams lit up space as they struck human vessels. But something unexpected happened. The human ships didn't break apart immediately. Their shields absorbed much of the damage, and the ships kept fighting. "Impossible," Zexai muttered. Their technology should not be this effective, but the Velkari commander didn't understand was that humans had been fighting each other for centuries. They had learned to build ships that could take damage and keep working. Dr. Susan Wright's research team had also made improvements to human shield technology based on captured alien data. Captain Lopez watched her tactical display as the battle developed. 2 of her destroyers were already badly damaged, but they continued firing. Captain Ben Clark, commanding the destroyer UHS Defiance, was using his smaller ship like a knife, darting between alien vessels and striking at weak points. "Paul, get me a channel to all ships," Lopez ordered. "Channel open, Captain. All ships. This is Lopez. Remember what Admiral Morrison told us. We're not trying to win this battle. We're trying to make them pay for every inch of space they take. Make every shot count." The battle raged for 2 hours. Human ships fought with a desperation the Velkari had never encountered. When the destroyer UHS Courage lost its engines, Captain Rick Taylor ordered his crew to abandon ship, then rammed it into an alien cruiser. Both ships exploded in a ball of fire. Commander Zexai watched the tactical display with growing unease. Yes, the humans were losing. Half their ships were destroyed or disabled. But they had also damaged several Velkari vessels, something that hadn't happened in centuries. "Sir, the human heavy cruiser is breaking through our left flank," his tactical officer reported. Zexai looked at the display. The ship called Retribution was badly damaged, but still fighting. It was heading straight for his command vessel. "Ships concentrate fire on that cruiser," he ordered. But Captain Lopez had one more surprise. As alien ships turned to target her, she launched every fighter and bomber her ship carried. The small craft swarmed toward the Velkari flagship like angry bees. The alien point defense systems shot down most of them, but a few got through. Their missiles struck the flagship's bridge, causing explosions that shook the entire ship. "Damage report," Zexai demanded. "Bridge shields are down to 30%. We have hull breaches on decks 12 through 15. For the first time in his military career, Zexi felt something he had never experienced before: uncertainty. The humans were supposed to surrender after the first exchange of fire. Instead, they were fighting harder the more damage they took. The battle ended when the last human ship, the destroyer UHS Defiance, finally stopped firing. Captain Ben Clark had kept his ship in the fight until its weapons systems failed completely. Zexi surveyed the aftermath. All human ships were destroyed or disabled. But 3 Valkyrie vessels were heavily damaged and 1 cruiser was completely destroyed. In 1,000 years of conquest, the Valkyrie had never lost a ship to a primitive species. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the planet," his communications officer reported. "Put it through." A human in military uniform appeared on the screen. The man looked calm, despite the destruction of his fleet. "This is General Carl Stone, commanding Centauri Defense Force. I watched your battle with our ships. Impressive. But now, you have to come down here and take our world." Zexi studied the human general. "Your ships are destroyed. Your defenses cannot stop us." "Maybe not," Stone replied. "We'll make you work for it. Every city, every building, every street. You want our world? Come and take it." The transmission ended. Zexi turned to his landing force commander. "How long to secure the planet?" 6 hours, but normal resistance 6 hours. "But these humans, .. The officer hesitated. "They don't seem normal, sir. They're primitives." "Proceed with the landing." The ground assault lasted 3 days. Human soldiers fought from every building and bunker. When the aliens destroyed their tanks, humans attacked with rockets. When they lost their aircraft, humans used mines and traps. General Stone's forces retreated from position to position, making the aliens pay for every advance. But the outcome was never in doubt. Valkyrie technology was simply too advanced. On the 3rd day, General Stone transmitted his surrender from the ruins of his command center. "This is General Stone to all. Centauri forces, cease fire. We have fought well, but we cannot win. Surrender to preserve what lives we can." Commander Zexi accepted the surrender, but he felt no satisfaction. The humans had lost, but they had done something no other species had ever done. They had made the Valkyrie Empire bleed, as his ships prepared to move to the next human system. Zexi received a disturbing report from his intelligence officer. "Sir, we're detecting massive ship movements throughout human space. It appears they're concentrating their remaining forces for a major battle." Zexi stared at the tactical display showing human fleet positions. Any rational species would be negotiating surrender after witnessing the destruction at Centauri. Instead, the humans were preparing for an even larger fight. "How many ships?" he asked. "Over 600 vessels, sir. They're gathering at a system called New Terra." Zexi felt that unfamiliar sensation again.
Ow.
For 1,000 years, the Valkyrie had conquered through overwhelming force and the threat of destruction. Species surrendered because resistance seemed hopeless. But these humans seemed to have a different definition of hopeless. "Set course for New Terra," he ordered, "and request reinforcements from the Grand Fleet." "Sir, reinforcements?" Zexi looked at the damage reports from the Centauri battle. 3 ships damaged by a handful of primitive vessels. Shouldn't have been possible. "These humans are not like the others," he said quietly. "I think we're going to need more ships." The Valkyrie Grand Fleet arrived at New Terra like a storm of metal and fire. 3,000 warships filled the space around the human capital world, their purple lights creating a deadly constellation against the stars. Grand Admiral Kethver commanded from his flagship, a massive dreadnought that was larger than some human cities. Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his command ship, watching the alien armada through the main view screen. Around him, 600 human vessels waited in defensive positions. It was every combat ship humanity could gather, from massive battleships to small patrol craft. "Admiral, incoming transmission from the alien flagship," reported Communications Officer Janet Hill. "Put it through." Grand Admiral Kethver appeared on the screen. He was larger than Commander Zexi, with dark blue skin marked by silver scars. His yellow eyes burned with centuries of military experience. "I am Grand Admiral Kethfer of the Velkhari Empire. You are Admiral Morrison of the humans. I have read the reports from Centauri. Your species fights well for primitives." Morrison stepped forward. "We fight well because we're fighting for our freedom." "Freedom is an illusion," Kethfer replied. "Order is reality. The galaxy belongs to those strong enough to take it, and wise enough to keep it. You will surrender now, or watch your worlds burn." "We gave you our answer at Centauri," Morrison said. "If you want our worlds, you'll have to take them." Kethfer studied the human admiral. In 1,000 years of conquest, no species had ever spoken to him with such defiance. "Very well. When this battle is over, there will be no more humans to resist us." The transmission ended. Morrison turned to his crew. "All ships, this is Admiral Morrison. Today we fight for more than just our own survival. Every species in the galaxy is watching. If we fall fighting. If we win, we change everything." Fleet. Commander Amy Thompson, now commanding a task force of heavy cruisers, positioned her ships near the orbital defense platforms. Captain Steve Parker led the destroyer squadrons in a wide formation designed to harass the enemy flanks. Dr. Susan Wright had worked day and night to install new weapons on every available ship. The battle began when the Velkhari fleet opened. Fire with a coordinated barrage that lit up space like a second sun. Human ships returned fire immediately, their enhanced weapons striking alien shields with surprising effectiveness. Grand Admiral Kethfer watched the tactical display with professional interest. The humans had learned from their defeat at Centauri. Their formations were better, their weapons more effective, their tactics more sophisticated. "Sir, the human fleet is not retreating," his tactical officer reported. "They're advancing on our position." Kethfer frowned. Every species fought defensively when outnumbered. But the humans were attacking, even though they faced impossible odds. Captain Maria Lopez, now commanding the rebuilt UHS Retribution, led a charge straight into the heart of the alien formation. Her ship had been repaired with captured Velkhari technology, making it faster and more heavily armed than before. "All ships, follow my lead," she broadcast. "We're going to show them what humans do when cornered." The destroyer UHS Defiant, now under Captain Jeff Adams, followed close behind. The small ship darted between alien dreadnoughts like a fighter, striking at weak points and disappearing before the enemy could respond. But the real surprise came when Captain Danny Walsh arrived with a squadron of hybrid ships. His vessel, the UHS Liberator, combined human engineering with captured Velkhari technology. It moved with alien speed, but fought with human determination. "Admiral Morrison, this is Captain Walsh. My squadron is ready to execute the special mission." Morrison smiled grimly. "Proceed, Captain. Show them what we learned from their own ships." Walsh's squadron broke away from the main battle and headed straight for the alien flagship. Their hybrid ships moved faster than pure human vessels, but in patterns no Velkhari ship would follow. They were unpredictable, chaotic, and completely effective. Grand Admiral Kethfer watched in amazement as the hybrid ships approached his flagship. "How do they have our technology?" "Unknown, sir, but their ships are using Velkhari drive systems with human tactical programming." The hybrid ships struck the flagship's shields with weapons that shouldn't exist. Human kinetic projectiles enhanced. With Velkhari energy fields, the combination created explosions that shook the massive dreadnought. "Shields at 60% and falling," the tactical officer reported. For the first time in centuries, Kethfer felt something he had almost forgotten. Fear. Not fear of death, but fear of the impossible. The humans were using Velkhari technology, better than the Velkhari themselves. The battle raged for 6 hours. Human ships fought with increasing desperation as their numbers dwindled. The destroyer UHS Courage, commanded by Captain Nicole White, rammed an alien cruiser when her weapons failed. Both ships exploded, lighting up the darkness of space. But something else was happening. Other ships were arriving at the battle. Not human ships, but vessels from species the Velkhari had conquered long ago. The Zelthani, the Morvik, the Ashanti. Species that had surrendered decades or centuries earlier were arriving to fight alongside humanity. "Sir, we're receiving transmissions from multiple alien species," reported Communications Officer Hill. "They're declaring independence from the Valkyrie Empire and joining our fleet." Morrison felt hope rise in his chest. Humanity's resistance had inspired something the galaxy hadn't seen in 1,000 years: rebellion against the Valkyrie Empire. The tide of battle turned when the combined fleet of liberated species struck the Valkyrie formation from behind. Grand Admiral Kethfer found himself fighting a war on multiple fronts against species he thought he had crushed forever. "We're receiving surrender demands from 17 different species," his communications officer reported. "They're demanding the immediate withdrawal of all Valkyrie forces from their home systems." Kethfer looked at the tactical display. His grand fleet was still winning, but barely. The humans and their allies were taking terrible casualties, but they refused to break. Worse, reports were coming in from across the galaxy. Conquered species were rising in rebellion everywhere. The critical moment came when Captain Walsh's hybrid ship broke through the flagship's defenses and struck the bridge directly. The explosion disabled the ship's command systems and wounded Grand Admiral. As the alien admiral struggled to regain control of his fleet, Admiral Morrison opened a communication channel. "Admiral Kethfer, this is Morrison. Your empire is crumbling. Rebellions are starting on worlds throughout the galaxy. You can continue this fight and watch everything you've built fall apart, or you can negotiate." Kethfer looked around his damaged bridge. For 1,000 years, the Valkyrie Empire had maintained control through fear and overwhelming force. The humans had shown the galaxy something the Valkyr had forgotten existed: the power of resistance. "What are your terms?" he asked quietly. "Complete withdrawal from all occupied worlds. Recognition of the independence of every species you've conquered, and the formation of a galactic council where all species have equal voice." Kethfer closed his eyes. The Empire was finished. The humans had done what no species had ever done before. They had broken the chain of conquest that had ruled the galaxy for a millennium. "I accept," he said. 3 months later, Admiral Morrison stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching ships from dozens of species patrol what had once been Valkyrie space. The galaxy was free for the first time in 1,000 years. "Ambassador." Lisa Carter approached him with a communication pad. "Admiral, we're receiving messages from exploration ships. We've made contact with species beyond Valkyrie space. Species that have heard about humanity and want to meet the people who freed the galaxy." Morrison smiled. "And tell them that freedom isn't something you get as a gift. It's something you fight for and protect every day." He looked out at the stars, where human ships flew alongside vessels from 50 different species. The Valkyrie had demanded surrender, but humanity had sent warships instead. And in doing so, they had changed the galaxy forever. The age of empire was over. The age of freedom had begun.